It's Politics HQ here on NewsCentral Television. Joining me now is Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. She's the People's Democratic Party Senatorial candidate for Kogi Central District. Natasha, good to see you and thanks for your time. Now, quickly, a lot of people are asking questions about your foray into politics, knowing full well that you actually started as an activist working for a whole lot of concern in Nigeria. Why are you still pushing, and this time with the PDP?
Good evening, Sulaiman, and good evening, Nigerians. I'm in politics today because the issues I thought was going to be resolved during my advocacy are still on. I lent my voice to public concern because of the lack of employment and the lack of avenues to generate revenue. And that was tied down to a particular project which is of crucial importance to industrialization, which is the Ajaokuta Steel Company. I did my very best. Together with my team, we did our very best to ensure that the project, that's the Ajaokuta Steel Company, was revitalized. But unfortunately, our voices were not strong enough alone. I then was spoken to that if I wanted to see the good end to that project, then political power, which will assume political will be necessary. And the only way was to get into politics. And so that was what led me into the journey in 2019. And then now again, because the problems in Nigeria are still there, they are still very real. Economy is worse off than ever before. The rate of unemployment is on the increase, and there's actually what is called now underemployment. And I think it will be an injustice to my people if I should throw in the towel and sit down in my comfort home while I watch our country deteriorate and my communities suffer. So I'm in politics again to win for the good of ourselves.
Well, that's a phrase that you're now well known for, my people. And did you consult your people before moving over to the PDP this time? Because I recall in 2019, you ran for another political party.
Yes, I did consult with them. That's my folks in the SDP. And I spoke with them. We actually wrote notes. Before even making that decision, there was a huge call from my concerned indigents of Kogi Central and Kogi State that, look, we were able to go to the drawing board to find out what went wrong. Now, you know that my strength actually lies with the populace, with the masses, with the ordinary people, the good people of Kogi Central and Kogi State. But SDP didn't have the formidable, strong structure that led into, how would I put that, was capable of securing the votes that came in. And that was why it was easy for us to be rigged out of the polls in the 2019 election. But looking into PDP today, it's still the same me, the same Natasha, the same mission and the passion. We're the same good people, but now on a stronger platform with a credible structure and all down to the polling units. That's at the state level. Well, let's start with the federal, the national level, the state, the local governments, the wards, and even to the polling units. PDP has got a broad reach of capable people that will serve as gatekeepers on the day of election. And I believe it will be much difficult for the APC or any other party in play to rig me and us out.
Now, you're talking about being rigged out. Now, let's talk about before 2015 election now, so that we can actually situate.
2019?
No, before the 2015 election, before we can actually situate what's happening in your state, Kogi State. You were very close to your governor then, before the 2015 election, Governor Yahaya Bello, and quite a lot, people saw that both of you were working together. And till this moment, people still can't understand what has gone wrong between you and the governor of Kogi State. Now, we're bringing it to politics of your state.
The very first time I met with Yahaya Bello was in, well, let's say, when there was some kind of a truce between us was in May 2018. We weren't friends, but it was more like a cordial party relationship in 2018. And that lasted barely 2 months because at that moment, I expressed my intention to contest for the Senate seat. And he made it clear to me, alongside other aspirants, that he had his preferred candidate, which is presently Senator Oseni. And I was told, well, not like, he told me to name my prize in order to stay off the game. But I told him I wasn't in politics for enrichment, that it wasn't about me, but it was to have an avenue to do the good that our people desired. And he told me clearly to stay off. So the relationship that people assume that was cordial, I believe is the pictures that went out on the convention, the APC convention. That's pretty much the first event and only event I attended in APC Kogi. But like I said, it was just, if I'm stretching it out, it's 2 months. So, but I would say this, Yahaya Bello, his first wife, Amina, and I were good friends over the years. Our children attended school, and I will leave it at that. But all the while I was friends with Amina, I never met with her husband. So 2015, 2016, all of that. No, it was 2018 that we actually met.
Now, we'll still come back to your ambition, but I still want some clarity on some issues concerning politics in Kogi State. And, you know, it's not all the time you get to see a woman's name being mentioned side by side with terrorism. And for the first time in the history, we're getting to see your name being mentioned with that word on its side. How did that come about?
Well, Sulaiman, you've known me for years, and we've stayed in touch all this while, ever since I first appeared on your show, I think in 2018. And but even at that, I wouldn't say you should vouch for me character-wise, because being a terrorism or any other vile character doesn't show or is not inscribed on the face of people. But I'll say this, I woke up like many other Nigerians to the news that I was being laced to a terrorist named Shafiu. And that was when I got digging, I realized that the gentleman decamped to PDP. And that was what infuriated the governor. But then by and large, when I read more into who the Shafiu man was or is, I discovered a lot of unholy things, some of which were that he was a death row inmate in Kuje prisons for a crime committed in Kogi State way before Yahaya Bello got into office. But in 2018, Yahaya Bello used his office, his powers, to free Shafiu amongst other hardened criminals. And this gentleman,
let me correct you there. You know, you're a lawyer. That's another aspect people must know. And you know, unsubstantiated, remarks. When you say a governor of your state uses powers to free someone on death row, that is something grave,
I'm very much aware of what I'm saying. I wouldn't spew words that lack truth or base. And the Suleja prisons is out there. I'm very sure if the file has not been tampered with, you would see he probably he's on record there. I got to know that when Shafi was arrested, he was first taken to the prisons in Kaduna, from there to the prisons in Port Harcourt. And for some reason, he tried to escape. And then he was flown by helicopter to Abuja, to Kuje prisons. That's how much dreaded he was. And all this information keeps coming in, because when I was on Arise, I didn't even get this much. So immediately after, people kept feeding me the details that were necessary. So bringing it up today, Shafiu is known to have had such a terrible history of crime, which had him serve as an inmate on death row in Kuje prison. So by and large, the governor pardoned him, gave him a second chance, but Shafi was seen hobnobbing around the government house and Yahaya Bello and most of his appointees, especially Chief of Staff Asuku, This gentleman, Shafiu, actually lived in the house of Asuku while he did his biddings to ensure that APC won the elections, including in 2018. That includes attacking the oppositions. So what I got to know was that Shafiu himself was one of those who Yahaya Bello engaged to attack and if possibly kill me in the 2018-19 elections. But now fast forward to today, what led to them falling apart was life changed, life happened in the space of the last election and now, and Yahaya Bello called on Shafiu to join. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. No, I can hear you.
Yes, Yahaya Bello called on Shafiu months back to join in attacking the oppositions. According to him, that he does not want Natasha or her other candidates, that's the House of Reps and the House of Assembly candidates campaigning, that he and his gang of boys should do everything possible to stop. And Shafiu responded in the negative. He told the governor that he was not available to do those biddings anymore. He has gotten married. He now has a life. He started a business. He wanted to just fit in and blend in like every other citizen. Now, the governor,
was that what Shafiu said to you, or
that was what Shafiu? No, I got to know feedback. Like I asked around from the moment when the news broke up, which is about a week ago or so. I started asking questions, and every day I keep feeding back. I even watched some clips of where Shafiu and his friends, after rejecting the governor's offer to keep hunting the opposition because they have turned a new leaf.
Because I asked, sorry to cut you, Natasha, I asked this because Nigerians will be concerned. If Shafiu is right about what he's saying, why hasn't he approached the security agencies and say, look, I've been contracted to do X, Y, and I'm not interested?
You know, it would be interesting.
Then we have another glitch in that connection, and whatever it is,
Sulaiman, you keep asking me questions and you don't give me enough time to respond.
I didn't know. I thought I lost you for a bit. Go ahead. Apologies.
No, because you keep cutting my line of thoughts. So please let me speak. Okay, so now, why Shafiu did not go to the police or did not go to any of the security agencies to speak, I don't know. That's best for him to answer. And that's why I said, and I'm still standing, that if by any chance I get invited for interrogation, I would appreciate if Shafiu avails himself to, and Yahaya Bello, because there's a lot of, I believe he knows quite a lot. I believe Shafiu has a whole lot of dirt on how he transacted with Yahaya Bello, and that is why Yahaya Bello wants him silenced. But it's good he is made to speak. I believe if he decides to speak to the public, then he shouldn't be denied that. But I believe that's wherever he is, maybe if he has a lawyer or not, whoever can reach out to him.
Well, I think, Natasha, I think your connection is, a little bit unstable now. So we just hope that we can get back to you and conclude this politics concerning your state and your ambition running for Senate in your state. And of course, some other key questions that a lot of Nigerians will be asking is how come a man on death row is out there and also speaking, talking about some dirty jobs? But these are some of the key things that lawyers of both parties and security agencies. Natasha, I see you're back. Well, I do hope we can actually wrap up this.
So okay, now, hold on, please. But let me say a bit of that. I want to speak a bit into the terrorism thing as to what led to the Trademore incident. Quickly, I'll round up. Now, after the gentleman after Shafiu rejected the governor's advances, he and his friends put up shut the door, close the door. He and his friends put up a project which is named Say No to Violence and Thuggery. And they went around from mosques to churches to community leaders, spoke to a lot of young people not to allow themselves to be used as thugs. not to hold the guns in killing or terrorizing the opposition. So that again extra infuriated the governor. And that was when he planned on getting rid of Shafiu. And the governor actually sent the Kogi Navy, the Kogi Naval Squad down to Abuja to Lugbe to pick up Shafiu. Now, a petition was written, I know, to that effect as to the activities of the particular Lieutenant Charles Uchenna Akaleze, who has served as Yahaya Bello's hitman over the years. And it will interest the public to know that
there you go again, Natasha. There you go again, Natasha. Do you have your facts? The word hitman, it's a word not for anyone's good. And you say a sitting governor has a hitman.
Yes, who is Lieutenant Charles Akaleze? He's the head of the task force, Nigerian Navy Kogi Command. Yes. He is, and it will interest you to note that the Nigerian Navy.
Natasha, do you have your facts?
Looking into the issue now. Yes, there are petitions written to that. We have over 20 people that were killed by this gentleman, extrajudicial killings. Actually, if I had known you were going to ask me these questions, I would have sent you their pictures because I got hold of the petition. But let me tell you this, for once, I'm proud with Nigerian Navy and the police because they seem to look into the petitions. And Lieutenant Charles Akaleze has been transferred out of Kogi State. Now, the news just got to me today.
Transferred, not tried, not arrested. If you say he was a hitman.
Well, you know, we're told that his case is going to be looked into, but in the interim, because of the petitions, heavy petitions before them, the best thing for them to do was to move Lieutenant Charles Akaleze out of Kogi State. And I believe that the Navy is going to, they should have their disciplinary panel and committee that will look into the atrocities he has committed in the states, the senseless killings at will and at the desire of the governor.
Before we get into your...
I'm putting all of this out there and I'm ready to be called upon. And I pray that the security agencies from the DSS, Nigerian police, and to the Navy that we have written to, or the party has written to, or the families of these deceased have written to, they should look into these petitions. Because if we talk about the high rates of crime, do you think these criminals got how do you think they got their weapons? How do you think these criminals got their uniforms?
So
it's
now,
most of the time in collaboration with the bad
I think, so that we don't dwell too much on that, you already said you're ready for any of these invitations and to prove your fact further. Now let's talk about your ambition. You're a woman, and women in politics in this climb. How has it been so far in your campaign for office?
Well, it's been pretty tough. It comes with its challenges. And being a new mom, my baby is barely 4 months old. Sleepless nights and all, that's on one part.
4 months, how do you do that? Because I understand politics, you have to be up late at night, you have to go around at night, and for a mom?
Yeah, the good thing is I have a very supportive team. The party, the campaign structure down home, they've been carrying on activities without me. Even though I speak to forums over the phone, we tend to make use of the internet and the technologies. But I'm going to go down to Kogi State. I'm so excited. I'm going down by the end of the month to meet with our people and commence campaigns. But pretty much I've done a lot of visitations here in Abuja with our stakeholders. And yeah, so back to the challenge a woman faces in politics. Well, there goes the cultural factor, the social factor, the financial implications, the timetables, that is late night meetings and many all. But I would say this, of all of them is the notion that some people still struggle with the fact that a woman can be a leader. And I speak this for the few, because most of the people in Kogi Central have accepted me. They have endeared themselves into my antecedents, who Natasha is as a person, what she stands for, what she is capable of doing. So people in my district don't look at me as a woman anymore. they look at the value I bring to the table and the value I would take to the National Assembly. But then again, I have watched other women not being given that fair chance. And it's important that we don't get castigated for who we are because we're women. We should be enough. But again, I also got some silly attacks from the opposition with regards to the state of origin, my husband's state of origin. The moment I got married to the fine Delta man, I was attacked, should I say, on social media that I should go contest in Delta State and not Kogi State. And to the ignorant few, it's important to let them know that the Nigerian Constitution accords every woman in Nigeria the right to choose where she would like to contest, either her own state of origin or her husband's. But I have not written Kogi State off. I am full-bred indigene of Kogi State and Kogi Central at that. My local government is Kogi, and I would participate for as long as I desire and my people desire in the politics of Kogi State.
Now you see.
So another thing, yes.
Go ahead.
Talking about all these challenges is it's important that we do have an affirmative policy that would create fairer grounds for women who are competent, not just because she's a woman is a female, then she would just get that position. No, if you have a man and a woman and the woman is as qualified, the policies should leverage more on the woman, just like Macron did in France, where he just decided that half his cabinet is going to be female.
All right, okay. I think we're out of time, Natasha. I really do hope that we'll do this again. Yes, we're really out of time. More or less now, you just allowed us into the cheating that the men folks. So if I'm married to a woman from another part, I can't choose her place. But you have the choice to either go to Delta or Kogi State. But it's a fine time speaking with you, and we do hope we'll have this conversation again. I've been speaking with Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, who is the Kogi Senatorial candidate for Kogi Central. Well, coming up short for the People's Democratic Party. In politics, everything counts.
Yes. Thank you so much, Sulaiman.
All right.
Thanks.
We'll take a moment. We'll come back to look at what we'll be chewing on the cut.